They cannot. They have to be within that, unless they want to now open, and they can exceed, but then they will not put it at status quo. So this other process will continue, and for you, you'll continue with your process in court. But you should know there will be already another deputy president as you continue with this.
So where does that leave,
That is why it's important. I believe he has a very good legal team. They have to look at all those issues. Yes, they have to. But in terms of principle of the Constitution, that's what the courts, because they are the interpreters of the same Constitution, they will follow that. But they will not deny him to proceed with his face to look for justice. But he has to really know it is within that time frame that he has been given that.
All right.
I think the deputy president needs to make a hard decision. Why I say so? Because the window is closing fast. There's something about impeachments that come with finality. Once you are impeached, it doesn't matter what you do. You've seen what has befallen very solid leaders who've been impeached. Despite their political capital, they are literally impotent politically. There's nothing they can do. You have former Governor Sonko, you have former Governor Kiambu Waititu. These are more or less asset, politically speaking. They can be part of your team. They can help you mobilize, and I'm sure you know their capability and capacity. But to what end? And voters are very decisive in the sense that if they want to follow, for example, Honorable Beatrice, it's because they are going to vote for her or against her. If you are not in the ballot, then that comes to a cropper. So for me, I feel it's now time beyond these discussions of fairness or unfairness. I would want the deputy president to leave this conversation to his lawyers, purely to argue these points that we are arguing here about fairness or unfairness. However, he then needs to move a step further, sit with his political and whether you call it spiritual friends, and see the two options. One option, resign before the impeachment is finalized. But resign with a half, in a way you create a lot of capital out of it. You have a fighting chance in the future. You never know how that can spin off to something. That's one. Number two, the idea of relying on court, it's a give and take. So far so good. If I'm the deputy president, how comes I've lost all the cases that have come to court? Because the legislature is also working very hard to ensure compliance. In fact, when Parliament was given an order that same Friday, when the leaders were already in the field, it was at around 1:30 p.m. Everyone assumed that the executive and the Parliament will come at judiciary and go file an objection seeking suspension of those orders. What did they do? In record 1 hour, they gazetted that, fine, we are going to comply to the letter. Tomorrow, Saturday, we are going to do at the constituency level. And let me tell you the beauty about it. Do you know in that space, court and Parliament created a new threshold that we are talking about here? Now there's a threshold of public participation by legislatures. Now we know if you want to do public participation, it is at the constituency level. And Parliament now will have to follow that because courts have affirmed, and themselves, they did it and it worked.